Okay, so I am River Giberson, one of the broker owners here at Century 21 Thompson and Company. I've been in the business for 12 years. And Maureen, who are you?
My name is Maureen Yetman. I've been in the business for a very long time, and I'm excited to chat today.
Gary Thompson. I don't know why we have to say this again, but okay. Century 21
Every episode,
Thompson and
Gary.
Company.
Every
I get it. It's just feels fake to me. But yeah, 23 plus years in the business. Excited to talk about leads and lead conversion today, which apparently I'm told is one of my specialties.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Stalking people until they say yes, yes.
Converted me.
Converting leads.
All right, enough. I'm Mike Fabosi. I've been in the business about 10 years. Joined the company almost 2 years, or a little more than 2 years. And I run the commercial division. So, again, happy to be a part of this and get some things done this year.
Cool. So we're talking about lead conversion today, and that is any leads, right? So specifically online leads, because that's a big one, I think. Open house leads, any sort of person who's not necessarily, well, I guess they could be referred to you, but maybe just a little bit colder than what you would normally deal with. Mm-hmm. And how do you take that person from the time that you get their information, how do you turn that person into an actual sale? And that's really hard to do for a lot of people. And so we wanted to talk about that today. And we have our expert on lead conversion, especially online lead conversion, which is Gary Thompson. And so, Gary, what is it that you do to convert leads at such a high level?
Honestly, I like to look at it like I'm not doing what everybody else is trying to do. Mm-hmm. Because even when I give leads out to our agents and they're like, I called, I emailed, I did. And I say, all right, well, you need to be different because that lead probably went out to 3 or 4 or 5. If somebody has a team and it goes to the whole team, like there's a ton of people getting that same person's information. So I try to encourage the agents and myself to be different and do something different. Like maybe go and visit the house and take a video of yourself at the house, even if you haven't spoken to them yet. What do mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like, that's a lot of work. Well, do you want the lead or not?
What else are you doing?
Yeah, what am I gonna, and you can know the inventory at the same time. Gee.
So take it from the beginning. So I'm a consumer.
Yep.
I click on the red button on Realtor.com. It says contact agent or Zillow or whatever. I get connected with you and 75 other people that pay for that lead. What do you do from there?
So that conversation over the phone, they don't know who we are yet. So, we're similar to car salesmen or furniture, mm-hmm. Like we're looked at like, savages. They don't trust us yet. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame them because they don't know us yet.
Yeah.
So when I do get somebody on the phone, it's a lot of small talk and just building rapport and getting to know them and, and then, taking it from there. One of the things that I don't get caught up with is spending too much time interrogating their qualifications. I may ask, right, what's your situation? Where are you coming from? Mm-hmm. Where do you live? Do you rent or own? But I don't overwhelm them with, well, are you pre-approved? Do you have a, have a letter? I need to see a letter before I go show you. No, that's not the way I know some agents operate that way.
Right.
I'm not getting anybody. Well, we used to get people in our car. Remember those days?
Yeah.
I remember. That's when I had to buy the Cadillac from the Jeep Wrangler. So, because I'm like, people have to come in my car. But like before we get people in my car, they have to show me a pre-approval.
Right.
Yeah. I don't operate that way.
Right.
I usually like having those conversations when I actually meet them in person at the house.
Okay.
Right. And you hope that someone that's clicking the red button kind of knows already they're probably coming to a house.
And they're not always that serious, but I mean, like Mike said, like, what do you have to lose? Like, go show them the house and, you made a connection, and does it always go somewhere with online leads? No.
Right. I feel like, sorry, go ahead.
So you said building rapport. I mean, that's the biggest thing is trust.
Yeah.
So you want them to trust you. You have to understand what they want, what their needs are. This is for them.
Yeah.
So listen, don't speak and try to sell your value. You need to listen to them and let them tell you what they want. What are they looking for? Where are they looking to go? What is their situation? Why are they looking to move?
Yeah.
All of these things are important because it's about them. This isn't about us.
Right.
Right.
So you're gonna be the person that they could trust And when they trust you, like River said earlier, people want to work with who they know, like, trust.
Right.
Yep.
And that's important, is being trustworthy. Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the biggest issues with online leads specifically, especially if they're coming from Zillow or Realtor.com, they're clicking on that button thinking that they're getting the listing agent.
Yeah.
And when you're calling them and you're introducing yourself and they say, "Well, are you the listing agent?" And what's your response to that, and how do you get over that?
So that is, it comes up not as often anymore as it used to, but it does come up. Are you the listing agent? I only want to deal with the listing agent. And so I'll flat out ask them, well, why do you think it's in your best interest to just deal with the listing agent?
Mm-hmm.
If you think you're getting a better deal by going through the listing agent, you're probably wrong, because that listing agent was sitting at the table getting the paperwork signed, promising that seller that they're going to get them the most amount of money for their house.
Right.
And then you come in, the stranger, why do you think they're going to give you any special treatment?
Right.
You know, so,
Right.
and, you know, dual agency is a real thing, you know, and I think even on my own listings, like the house in Highlands, I gave that lead away to Gary because the person was a little iffy about dual agency. So I said, you know what, I'll bring Gary in,
Yeah.
the other Gary,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and he sold the house.
Right.
Yeah, so I do get asked that question a lot, and some people,
They don't care.
they push, and then it's like, you know what, I just let
matter
them
what
go.
they
I
want
just
to
let them go.
Right. They're
You
not
know
worth
it all. You all right? Fine.
Right.
Go do your thing.
Right, because look, the conversion rate for online leads is very low, as it is. It's like, I think the industry average is like 2 or 3%. I mean, obviously yours is better than that, but you're not going to get every single person. You're not going to convert every single person that you get as a lead, obviously. So you're going to get those people.
If you give them something as soon as you talk to them, like, okay, you're calling on this house on Rutledge. Did you see the other one in Rutledge? Like find out if they're looking around. They're obviously making calls to a million different people. Know that, make them know that you saw that too. You're like, okay, so remember that house, how that house had a half a basement. This one has a whole basement. Like if you can be on their level with them,
Right.
they respond.
And I like that part of it because the class that I taught this week was knowing the inventory.
Yes.
And especially like in your market area, like you never know when you're going to get a lead and that person's going to say, oh, I'm looking at Rutledge. And you're like, oh, there's another one in the neighborhood, or Peach Blossom just came up, or, something like that. Do you know about that
We're
one?
getting one in that neighborhood in my office.
Right, dangling the carrot in front of them.
Yes.
Because it's another thing of value that they're like, oh, wait, you have something that's potentially off market. Yeah, but I can't tell about it.
So sometimes it's making them need us more than they
Right.
think we need them.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Is a part of that.
Well, you have to believe that too, right? And I think a lot of agents,
It's got to be genuine.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of agents are so desperate to, like, every lead that they get, they are so desperate to make that close. They're counting their commission before it even happens, and it's like, no, you have to believe that you're offering something of value to the people that are contacting you.
Yeah.
And if you truly believe that, you're gonna have a better result, I think.
Yeah. Good.
So one of the conversations, or I wouldn't say scripts because I really don't use scripts, but one of the topics of conversation when I get somebody on the phone is, I'm local, and that's a huge, to me, that's a huge thing.
Right.
And so when I get somebody on the phone from Realtor.com, let's say that gets blasted out, oh, somebody already talked to me already. My first question is, well, are they local? Like, did you ask them that?
Right.
Like, maybe you should, because with the new buyer agency laws, you have to sign an agreement. And you're kind of married to that agent. So maybe you should interview your buyer's agent the same way sellers interview their listing agents.
Right.
All right, but from a consumer's point of mind, to play devil's advocate, why is that important? Because I have Zillow. I can see all the information and all the listings that are out there. So why do I need somebody that's local? What does that matter?
Well, because local agents know the towns, have probably good rapport with a lot of the other agents that do
Right.
business
Right.
here. They want to do business. You've seen it.
Right.
They want to do business with
Right.
us.
Right.
So
So using your connections in the areas that you're
Also, the
familiar
house.
with.
No, I'm not the listing agent, but the house you're calling in on, I see that agent is from, Hackensack.
right,
So more than likely, that's the seller's personal friend.
yeah.
right,
Because no one from Hackensack is here to sell a house in Middletown.
right.
Or knowing the backgrounds of some of the houses that sold. So how come that house sold so low? Well, it was because there was a estate and it was a really bad shape. And
Right.
Yes.
They wanted to get rid of it. They didn't care
Right.
about getting top dollar. They just wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But that skewed the market.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it's so, like Mike said, like it's almost, you got to, like you're being interviewed, the first phone call.
Yes.
You got to show your value.
That's
you really
why
do.
what I've started to do, like on my Realtor.com leads, on my own listings, I call them back myself, even though it kills me, and I hate this. I call them back myself, I hook them, and then I'm not available. So I'm like, yes, I'm the listing agent, but I'm like, my schedule is packed today.
Right. It's a Sunday morning, and Maureen's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm away," but she's on her couch watching Bravo TV.
Right. Normally. And then I'll say, but I can have someone from my office meet you there. Yeah. And then I'll call like Tammy or Mark or, bring somebody in.
Right, right.
And then that's what I say to them. Like, if they buy this house, we'll share the buyer.
Yeah.
Right.
If they don't, then, they can.
Right. So, all right. So if you have somebody that calls in or whatever from Realtor.com, you can't get in touch with them. Mm-hmm. How long do you keep trying to get in touch with them before you give up? Because I feel like most agents are like, 3 times I called them, I texted them, I emailed them,
No response.
and that's it.
So here's the
Person
thing.
didn't want to be bothered.
And this is what I try to explain. Like when I do the lead training for our agents, I explain to them from the time that person clicks the red button till the time they're ready to actually go see a house, never mind buy a house, it could be a year. It could be 2
Right.
years.
Don't expect to make an instant sale.
I have Realtor.com leads that I met years ago that are still, looking.
Right.
Right. And that's,
we haven't been looking for
Gary
years.
loves that. If Gary
Right.
pulls up his Realtor.com stuff and like has an hour to kill, he could like make
Right.
calls that he didn't talk to people for a year.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's also to River's point of like, everybody's calling, texting, but with what? What are they calling with? Are they
Right.
calling with anything of value? Hey, this house just listed. It's similar to the one that you inquired about. Like,
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff.
Right.
that
Did you buy a house yet?
somebody wants
Because
to
I want to
hear.
make sure you knew about
Yeah.
this house that just popped up.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if they don't respond, they may get Lionel'd.
Nobody knows what that is.
Yeah.
What's a Lionel, Gary?
So I do it. Any of the agents in our office will know too. But if you ignore me for
More than 30 seconds.
more than 30 seconds, you're going to get the Lionel Richie picture that says hello, And honestly, I have done that to leads.
People that you don't know, random.
People that I don't know at all, and they think it's hilarious. Like I've captured people. See, it's about just being different.
Right.
And you don't have to,
Being real.
be real, be genuine. Like people follow scripts of what to say, and
Right.
no, be yourself.
Right.
You're a good agent if you know the inventory well enough and you know what you're doing. Then you know what you should be able to eventually get them to come around.
Right.
They don't all come
Absolutely.
around, like you said.
Yeah.
Lead conversion is very low from online leads.
All right. So I know that your specialty is not necessarily like CRMs and organization and all that kind of stuff. So how do you manage? How do you know? Or I guess how do you look back and how do you remember people that are Realtor.com leads?
Well, any of the people, like I have a lot of people on my as subscriptions. That's one of the first things I do. Even if I don't talk to somebody on the
Right.
phone, I'll set them up on a subscription,
Yes.
a preview subscription.
Which is what?
So from MLS, we can put in some criteria, some search criteria, and then what happens was anytime a house lists, drops in price, it'll get emailed to me first.
Right.
I'll look at that, and the person's name will be on the email as well, and I'll say, oh yeah, that might be okay for them, and then I might send it to them with a personal
Right.
note. Hey, this just listed, and I was thinking about you.
Yeah.
Right.
I use that one a lot because people like to know that this person thought of me. I didn't ever met this guy yet.
Right.
Right.
So
Maureen, you
goes a
gotta
long
you gotta
way.
talk about your way when somebody calls you
Yeah.
from, say, you have a listing or whatever. Somebody calls you
Yeah.
and you want to remember who that person is, and you put them in your phone.
Oh, yeah.
What do?
I say, whatever, Joe, call in on Rutledge.
Right. You literally have like they called in on this particular address,
Yes.
and then 6 months later, you just randomly remember them, or you write them in the back of your notebook.
Right. Or I don't use my notebook for that anymore.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
Well, also like appraisers. I'll say like appraiser for Leedsville underappraised. Like whatever the hints are. So when it pops
you
up in
already
my
know.
See,
phone,
you have to write in there, but as soon as I see that name,
Decline.
the
Yeah.
appraiser, I'm like, this guy. Yeah, I remember what they did to me because I'll never forget. Yeah. This.
I mean, saving any sort of information, on the company line and the Apple iPhone is so important because when they call, that you're either
exactly.
picking them up or sending them the voicemail.
Right. Right.
Yes.
So, Mike, I mean, you don't buy online leads, do you?
I do not.
You don't.
So I'm probably 99% referral.
Okay. All
But
right.
anything cold that comes in, we still, like Gary was talking about, still talk to them. I'm, genuine.
Yeah.
And I try to understand what they want, what they need. And setting them up on a subscription is important.
Right.
I do put them in my database, in my free Excel database. And sometimes they are put on a drip campaign,
Right.
depending on the conversation I had.
Right.
Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are forgotten, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, geez, my chair
or-
just went down.
A lot of the cold leads that come in, as Maureen said earlier, she'll vet someone and she'll pass it off. And that's something that I think is important for us, as the brokers working, with, having agents that work with us,
Right.
is being able to pass off, qualified leads. So
Right.
when a lead comes in, our book of business may be a little bit busier.
Yeah.
And they'll get quality, attention
Right.
from
Right.
one of our agents.
Right.
So it's in their best interest, really, to pass the lead off to
Yes.
someone else that
Yes. Well,
yeah,
could
we have
service them better. And we are here. We are also,
Right.
we are the sounding board for
Right.
those agents.
Right.
So
we have
it's
90 agents in our company.
Right. And we're
we're busy.
and we're not passing anyone off to someone that is not qualified.
Right.
Right.
And we are ultimately overseeing, these agents and the decisions they make.
Right.
So they'll get a better service and quality attention.
Right. And I truly believe that too. Like, I had a hard time giving buyers away because I felt guilty because they were referred to me or whatever. And I felt like they think they're getting me.
Right.
But guess what? Not that great. So, like, you're actually
about
better
that.
off. Well, you're actually better off because this person is going to spend more time with you.
Right.
And, like, I'm kind of over schlepping people around, buyers. So, like, I don't.
Yeah, you're going to give the opportunity to somebody that's really hungry for that
Yeah,
particular
but you're gonna
transaction.
be-
But
Yeah,
vetting
you'll be
them,
overseeing.
right? Like, I'll say to people,
Right.
like, listen, someone else is going to take you to the houses, write your contract, go to your inspection, but I am going to negotiate for you. I'm going to be fully involved, and then you do have to call and check in with those people. How's it going with Mark? How's it going with Tammy? Like, see
And
what's
honestly,
going on.
like that's a pretty big thing in our company, is because we're the only company in the area that has the Realtor.com showcase program, where
Yeah.
anything on our listings, we get our own leads on our Realtor.com listings, which no other company that I'm aware of in Monmouth County has this, or
No,
at least
it's
in our
incredible.
area.
People can't believe when I tell them.
And
agents.
like 1 year, Maureen had, I mean, she has a million listings every year, but 1 year she had 116 leads from her listings, of which like 90% she gave away to agents within our company. And that, you don't get that at other places a lot of the times.
Right. Which is why I've started kind of vetting them, because the newer agents, like, no offense to them, but they're just not there yet. They
Right.
can't convert them. So if I lock the people in, then pass them off like a warm pass off,
Right.
it's better. It's working out better.
I got one today on Oak Hill Road, and Hope is showing them on Sunday.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
You
so-
looked
That looks like a good house.
Yeah.
and you connected them with a quality agent.
Right. Absolutely.
And they're going to get a great service. And ultimately, it's being overseen by a broker owner who has a ton of experience and success.
Yeah, and also, like Hope, she's showing the house to somebody else, so she's going to already have been there.
Right.
So meeting this person for the first time, she's not going to fumble with the key fob. That
Yeah,
I
yeah.
put the damn
Right.
thing
Which
in,
is
like,
why you gave it to
parking.
Hope, which is
Yeah.
part of
Right.
your thing yesterday, saying that, if someone is already showing it or doing the open house or whatever, you'll look to
Yeah,
that
the
person.
open house, like if you do an open house for me, that's a big one too. So
Yeah.
because all of my online leads, if you're doing an open house for me, leading up to that open house or after it,
Yeah.
that's who I'm giving the lead to probably, because
it's great.
number one, I know they've been in the house, because one of the things that I know you guys do it too is before an agent has an open house for us, like we walk them through the house. So they're going to already know the house.
right.
So,
Right.
they're not going in blind either.
Right.
Which helps, especially strangers. Like these are strangers that you're meeting for the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we give out the leads to the hungry agents
Right.
who are educated in the market, who want to work,
Right. Who are showing commitment.
who are showing commitment.
Yep.
Exactly. So if you come in, you show commitment with us, you're going to get business.
Right.
And we're going to help you get business.
And the thing is, that's going to turn into other business. I'll give you an example. Maureen and I, one time, had a listing in Belford,
One time.
Well, we've had multiple listings together, but this one particular time we had a listing in Belford.
Yes.
And we door knocked the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Before our open house. And it was like
We did.
in January, it was 19 degrees outside. It was horrible. And we're like, let's door knock and let's tell everybody about this house because this house has been being renovated and people are wondering
They've been
what's
watching
going
it
on
get
with this
renovated
house.
for months.
Right. So we door knock, we do all this stuff, whatever. We have the open house. This guy comes in to the open house who has a house listed across the street. Ends up, we get that listing. Great. We sell that listing. That was right across the street from the original listing. Okay. Now somebody calls us from our sign that's sitting on that lawn.
Right.
Okay. Their name is Rich and Pat. Rich and
On
Pat.
Clinton?
This was on Clinton, Brookside. Yeah.
Right.
So then Rich and Pat call us and they're like, well, we have, oh, right. So their house was on Clinton. Yes. So Rich calls us. He's like, we have a house on Clinton. We saw that you guys had these two houses across the street from each other and we wanted to interview. Okay, great. We go over there. We interview with them. We get that listing. Okay. We don't know these people at all. But this goes back to the importance of building relationships and like staying in touch with your people.
Right.
Pat and Rich have become
We could have sold that house and just
yes, and been done with them. They have become one of our best clients. I cannot tell you how many deals we've got from them. I mean, just them, they have bought and sold multiple properties with us, probably 5 or 6. They have referred us to other people that we have sold their houses.
Their
Those
children.
people have referred us. Their children. Like we've probably
we had
gotten
a listing,
10 to
Carrie
15
Ann's
deals.
listing, then we
Yes.
sold her the condo.
Yes.
Then
We probably have had 10 to 15 deals.
put it this way,
from them.
we took them to the goat for dinner.
Yeah, we got to do that again.
Yeah, we
but they're genuine people that we really care about, and we love them, and we are always in touch with them. And this is again,
They're the first
it's
ones
not-
at our events.
Yes, it's not just lead conversion because lead conversion is great, and it's awesome if you get it to the end and you actually sell the house. It's what do you do after that? And we've talked about this in a prior episode. That's so important because that is where you're going to get your business from. That's how you build a sustainable business.
Well, and that's why you don't discount any leads either.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
like rentals. Like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, we don't want to do rentals that much, but
They could turn into something.
a young, hungry agent, the first thing that they should be asking that person, have you ever explored buying?
Right.
Because a lot of these
They might have
renters,
they have
don't-
no idea.
They have no idea. Oh,
Right.
don't I have to put 20%
Right.
down? No, you don't.
Tenants are buyers, buyers are sellers.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
absolutely right. It is. And you know what? Even if that person does rent something, but it's about putting them in your database and
Yes.
making sure that they, you know, you want referrals from them.
Right.
And they know that.
Building relationships.
Absolutely. When you set yourself up to have a referral based business, it doesn't matter if the market's up or down or sideways.
People always have to buy and sell.
and you're
rent
always
or
going to get
whatever.
referred. Whether
Right.
the market is up or down, people always have to move.
Right. Right.
Well, it's funny. I sold the girl a trailer for $12,000, and I remember she was she knew I wasn't making any money on it.
Right.
I didn't care. She was nice, and she was a personal referral from another client of mine.
Yeah.
So you know, so at the end of it, she actually tried giving me extra money, which we know is illegal. I did not take it, but she tried. But she said to me, she's like, I know you didn't make any money on this, and I said, Laura, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
You know, no big deal.
Right.
But you know, she's a person that I keep in touch with.
Yeah.
You know,
And has she sent you business?
so she actually, the closest I got to getting a deal from her was her boss, who lived in Wall and was selling a house for like $2 million.
But she tried.
She tried. No,
Exactly.
she tried. He already had an agent. But
Right.
she heard him talking about selling his house in
Right.
Wall.
Yeah.
And I never got the opportunity, but she told me about it. And I
Right.
was like, you know what? Thank you so much.
Right. Exactly.
It was big.
I mean, I think we all have a lot of people who were at one time just random leads from the internet or wherever who have
Right.
now become sort of an
Yeah.
integral part of our business. And
Absolutely.
we've become pretty good friends with them, honestly.
Well, that's why
Over the years.
even with the online leads,
Yeah.
like, look at the online, like, I had a bunch of online leads last year that turned into sales.
Yeah.
Right.
And now I'm friends with all these people.
Right.
You know,
and then
like,
next thing you know, they're like at our Halloween
Right.
parties.
Right.
I took a buyer to a for sale by owner, and my buyer bought the house in Middletown.
Yeah. Mhm.
That for sale by owner, that seller has become one of the greatest friends of mine.
Yep.
And he has given me a ton of business throughout his entire
amazing.
family, and he is truly a friend.
Right.
That's
So
amazing.
you just never know how you build a relationship and who you're going to see and who you're going to come in contact with.
Right.
Now, the true test is when he sells again, is he going to use you or is he going to do it for sale by owner again?
No, he's already used me.
All right, good. So that's
He'll
a,
never
that's
do that
He
again.
learned his lesson.
That's a
He learned
conversion.
his
I'll
lesson.
never do that again.
I know.
How about open houses? And I know we're running out of time here, but open houses real quick. What are we doing at open houses to convert?
So preparation.
Okay.
My big thing with when I teach the open house class and how to prepare is number one, you need to make an appointment with the listing agent, like I said before.
Yeah.
And they need to show you all the little things about the house, maybe
Right.
what attracted the seller to buying that house in the first place, things like that. But you need to point out, they have a generator or this or that,
Right.
things like that. But I always tell the agents in preparation, you need to preview all of the houses that are in the same price range, in that area.
Yeah.
Because, put it this way, the point of an open house, the seller thinks like, oh, their house is going to sell that day, and somebody that walks in just going to bring a bag of money. Doesn't necessarily happen like that, as we know.
Right.
So what I tell the agents is, listen, don't count on selling that house that day.
Right.
You need to prove your value and say, oh, did you see the house around the corner? Or did you
Right.
see this house? Or have you been in? And if you start talking about that house and you're able to genuinely say you've been in that house,
Yeah.
like you're going to land that person.
So it's more about for you when you're doing open houses. I think we all know that I don't do open houses, at least not anymore. It's just not my
You're
my
mean to
thing.
people at open
I'm not mean to people. I just don't like doing open houses. But
Saturdays and Sundays.
your thing is market knowledge, basically. Obviously, building a rapport. Usually, you find out that this person is like your long lost third cousin from Middletown, but you're also just market knowledge.
It's almost the same thing as I said. You don't like interrogate the people. So
Right.
Right.
it's like I'm very goofy, I guess we'll call it. Like, I may make a comment like, oh, where are you from? Staten Island. And I'll be like, oh, I never heard that before. Uh-huh. But it's true,
Yeah.
so people want to work with an agent that they like,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and being human and having a sense of humor
Yeah.
is not such a bad thing.
No.
Right.
Being overly technical, it's like
Right. You don't want to be a robot at these,
a
at these
robot.
things.
Yeah.
Right,
It's,
exactly.
it's exactly right.
And it's the follow up after.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Well, that's the other thing is, what are you looking
Thank you
for?
cards.
Yeah,
Like
thank you
it's
cards.
no one
Handwritten
does
cards,
it.
Yes.
Yep.
People love it.
If they
Thank
give
you
you the right
cards.
address.
You know what's a good one too? Sending a video to the people after the open
Yeah.
house,
Yep.
because they may have gone to 5, 6 open houses that day. Like,
Right.
What makes you more memorable than
You
the
know
rest?
what I do a lot at an open house? Like I did one on West Front Street for Felice, and there was also an open house the same day on like Victoria or one
Yeah.
of those other houses. And I said, "Hey, did you go to the open house on Victoria?" And she's like, "Yeah, we did." I said, "What do you think? Like, what's your feedback? How does that compare to this? Like, just get them talking."
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
conversation.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Anything else that you do at open houses or or rather online leads that is important for anybody to know that we haven't discussed yet?
Well, something else like with open houses is, like have a spread. Like have
Yeah.
stuff there, have water, have
True.
cookies, like
Tammy's very
Gives
good
them a
with
reason
that.
to kind of
Tammy's
hang
good at
out for a
that.
little bit.
Brittany is awesome at that. Like she came for her first open house with me in Matawan.
Yeah.
Which she actually sold. Her first sale was somebody from that open house.
Amazing.
It wasn't that house, it was somewhere else. But she brought cookies from like Dixie Lee, and she had bottles of water, and she had like a really nice. I was impressed for her
That's
first
nice.
time. I'm like, you know what? You must have Googled. What
Yeah.
to-
Well,
Right.
we do have that spreadsheet. We have a whole open house playbook essentially that what you should do. But the other thing that's I think is really important, and we just talked about it with the lead that we converted, which was knocking on the doors.
Yeah.
Like one of our agents, Raquel, she did an open house. Was it for you?
Yeah.
On Rutledge. And she does the open house. She knocks, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20 doors, however many around. And she knocks on the door, say, hey, we're going to have an open house. You're invited to come by. Just wanted to kind of apologize because there may be some extra traffic in the neighborhood. And here's a $5 gift card. And again, you would think you give these people $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? Raquel got a $700-something thousand listing from just knocking on somebody's door.
Well,
Right.
look at Gary Kinney on Ivy Hill.
Right.
The day of his open house, he went and put his sign on the corner, but asked permission from the owner
I
first.
know that's a great story.
It was, and the people literally were like, nobody has ever asked us.
Right.
Nobody has ever asked us, and they live right next door to his listing, and they're friends. So the people called Gary's clients, and were like, "When we move in a couple of years, like that's our guy."
right.
It's little things like that because you belong there because
Right.
you have a listing there. So I did it when I had an open house on Brook, where I knocked on the door. The guy was like, he came to the door and like no shirt on. I'm like, okay, but he was so appreciative. He was an old school guy, but he was so appreciative. Like he was touched that I actually asked before being rude and just sticking my sign
exactly.
in the ground.
Right.
You know, like
So here's the thing with Gary Kidney with that, okay? His client's going to move. That guy's not going to move for a couple years. What is Gary Kidney going to do
already
from
has
now till then?
yep, we talked about that.
He has it on the list.
Because I asked, I said, what do you know, they're on his list.
Good.
He's like, you better believe that they're
So
going
the
to be
pop
hearing
buys,
from me. Yeah.
get them on a regular cadence of being in touch with
What I told Gary was,
market updates, all that kind of
as
stuff.
soon as that house closes, that's when you call
Yep.
the people next door and be like, hey, listen, I know you said a couple of years. Why don't you just have me in now?
Right.
You know,
Let's
have
talk
me
about
in
what
now.
you're
Let's make a plan.
I'm not going to force you to sell. Maybe there's some things that you might want to do to make your house more sellable.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's never too early to have an
start.
agent over.
Yeah,
You know,
Right.
absolutely.
if you have a question about a house around the corner, instead of going to Zillow or Realtor.com or something like that,
Yeah,
you can
just
just text
call
me
me.
and ask me about it.
Right.
You know, so, but Gary, he's very good at that. He is. They're on his database and he's going to follow up.
That's great.
Awesome. All right. So lead conversion.
Yeah, that could go on. That can go
Yeah, I
on
know,
for a
that could
couple
be-
more
that could
days.
be a long
Exactly.
time. Maybe we'll do another episode about this.
Yeah, we might have to.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
we might
We need a
have to.
weekend retreat for that.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in our content, go to www.c2onthompsonco.com. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, all that kind of good stuff. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Take care.